So 2006 100 series Land Cruiser with the driver seat positioned up. You can see there's only one harness lead that leads up into the seat. From here, you can see the harness itself just does this simple service loop that connects into nothing. It's just a harness retention right here. From here, the two wires here, the yellow green and the yellow red, split off into the SRS airbag connector. That's where the proxy would go into. Moving back up into here, it splits off into these two connectors here. So you technically would have two floor harnesses. One of them is this cream color and the other one is this gray color. How the floor harness is split into two. So this is the 5-wire. This, I believe, is it's either a 9-pin or a 10-pin. Looking at it, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is a 10-pin. But you can see it's only populated by 4 wires. So it's yellow with red, white with black, black with brown, and then it looks like a red with green. And then on top, this is a 5-pin harness, which is fully populated. So we have a green, a solid red, a blue with red tracer, a white with black tracer, and then the one in the back looks like it's just a solid green. So that's where those 5 pins go. Because of the size of these guys, these looks like these are the power and the ground that's going to go to supply power to the 1, 2, 3 motors that are part of the seat. So more than likely these don't get used at all for what we're doing. And because these are not ignition hot, we can't use them for supplying power to the heat and the vent for the scheel-mann seats, because we need the power to shut off when the car shuts off, or else we risk having the seat heaters kill the battery over a long weekend. What we have right here is a common, it's the U-shaped Hall effect driver position or proximity sensor. So this guy would have to be reused, but we have a way of working around this by us replicating basically this bracket, and then it would still need to use these, or rather this connector. So we just need to see where this guy goes. My guess is that this guy ties right into this 5-pin. So it seems, it would appear that this 5-pin is for the seatbelt and the driver proximity sensor right here. So if I follow the wires, I could see that this is blue with red and then red. And then if I come up here, I see blue with red and then red. So I'll figure it out from the wiring diagram, but these 2 pins right here look like they supply the driver proximity sensor. This connector here, you can see, goes up into the backrest of the seat. This is the side that is opposite the seatbelt, so we know this has nothing to do with the seatbelt. So this is going to actually be the connector, and it's a 4-pin connector that gets used for the seat heaters themselves. So that connector there, and this is on the seatbelt side of the seat, is actually this seat belt connector harness. So this is the harness. That would be the connector right there. Now, there are, let's see if I can zoom in here. There are 3 wires feeding the seatbelt connector. So that looks like it's a yellow, black, and maybe a red with the black stripe. I don't know, I'll have to go back in and take a look at what those colors are, but it looks like a yellow, black, and red with possibly a tracer. If we look at what feeds it, though, we have 3 wires, and those look like green, green, and black with a white tracer. And so if we look over here, back to our 5-pin connector underneath the seat, we have the green, the other green, but what we don't have is we have a white with a black tracer, not a black with a white tracer. So I'm going to need to confirm what this guy is, because that's definitely a black with a white tracer on that connector. So I will need to confirm basically what that guy is, but my guess is, being as it's a 3-wire, that these top 2 and that green is going to be for the seatbelt, and then these 2 here are going to be for the driver proximity sensor. So I just wanted to confirm. So you have the 2 connectors that are separating out from the floor harness. So these are your 2 floor harness connectors. This one, the 5-pin, is for driver proximity and for the seatbelt. So this one gets reused. This one we actually don't need. Well, we may need to use it, but we're going to confirm that depending upon whether or not we need power. But it looks like this is power for the seat functions, and it's the power and ground, and it looks like this is power and ground for the seat heaters. So seat heater and seat motor, and then seatbelt and driver proximity, and then airbag. Similar to the driver's side, the passenger side seat has the single floor harness that comes in, goes to a service loop that's attached to this plastic housing right here, goes in and splits off to the Type 1 airbag, the SRS connector. And you can see it's red with the yellow stripe and yellow with the green stripe. It's the same on the other side. The other one splits off into the same 2 connectors. And so if we look here, this is still the 5-pin, but if you'll notice, this 5-pin only has 2 wires going to it. It's a solid green and then a black and white. And on the other side of that, it's only the 2 wires coming out. So the solid green, black and white. And then on the 10-pin connector that is coming in, we have a few wires coming in, but we have the same thing over here, where we have these 2 wires here, which are those are the seat motor wires, ground and positive, And these are the seat heater wires, ground and positive. As we move down here, we can see this cable right here, a pressure pad, which is actually very good news because it's easier to deal with this setup when it is a pressure pad. So you can see it's just two wires, green and green. And so what that does is that informs the SRS system that there is somebody physically sitting in the seat. If we go over on this side here, you can see we have our seat heater connectors. This is the same that's on the other side. And that is it. We have no proximity sensor because that isn't used on the passenger side. We just have the pressure pad, which is just that guy right there. And so what that means is there is a printed circuit that's encased in plastic and is actually loosely glued into the foam underneath the seat. That gets removed and that gets reused, and then from there I think we're good to go, because there's not much more that guy needs to go to. So from what I can tell, even though that is green and green there, that is likely the only thing that is powering these two plugs here, which means there might be a possibility of just replacing this connector with a new connector. But we'll take a look at what that looks like. And then on this side, we don't need those two big guys at all, but we will need these two little guys here, because those are going to act as our power and ground going to the seat heater switches, so that you could still turn on the seat heater switch for the scheel-mann seats. So the only things needed is going to be this plug, or whatever plug we wind up replacing it with, these two wires, and whatever we're going to replace it with. Either we reuse a harness connector, or we figure out a way to replace these connectors. Some of these other wires are they're just dead plugs. They don't necessarily go anywhere. So even though it's populated on this side of the connector, you can see it's not populated on this side of the connector. And then on the airbag side of things, it's just a proxy, and we are good to go.